here on Geek Down on WEMF Radio. You know what I like? I like having a room full of people I know. Y'all here with constantly partying down. I look to the corner and say, "Oh my God, who is that?" Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Geek Down here on WEMF. I am Pat B. I look around the table of friendly faces in the corner. We have an interloper. Nah, I'm just messing around. We actually have somebody auditing the show tonight. Good friend of mine, good friend of ours, good friend of yours, hopefully by the end of the show. Talking, of course, about Erica Mosley. DJ Mosey Mose, how you doing? She in the back. Can't nobody hear us. Okay, I'm messing.
You're on camera.
You are, exactly. All right, so if anyone, our listening audience can't see, but if you tune in to twitch.tv/thegeekdown, you can actually watch us streaming live and direct on Twitch just for you. And like I said, we have an action-packed show. Unfortunately, Adam Willis could not join us tonight, but not the okay. Damn, I had a proper intro.
You had it, bro.
I was
okay.
there.
You had a good run, Pat.
I'm a verbose mother. I'm sorry. The voices you just heard, however, belong to none other than Orange Juice James.
Peace. What's going on? Glad to be here. What's this week 4, man?
Hey, man.
Doing it.
Brother, you work hard for the money that will eventually exist someday.
Eventually.
And of course, not to be outdone, Mix Macabre on the mic.
Greeting mortals.
I hope no one realized that I stuttered there, but I got to complain because they can see me as I introduce you. I put my hand into something wet.
Oh no!
Yeah,
mystery WEMF juices.
I don't know what that was.
People charge extra for that.
Man, that is.
I could have sworn I saw the lights dimmed down low with somebody on the table. I think somebody missed the book. I don't know.
You didn't see the Big John blow-up doll that they dragged out of here?
Man, none of y'all having a daggone thing. All right, of course, the man you heard in the background there was just Johnny.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the man off camera who keeps it sounding crisp and delicious every week. Talk about DJ Herbie Herb.
Hey guys.
This guy. every week. What's with these like howdy doody, Pee Wee Herman intros you got every week?
I mean, he's spicing it up, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
It's family friendly.
Man, you about to like pour some Sunny D for us by the end of the show.
This is all ages event.
Give me that purple stuff.
No, it's gonna be a 1980s PSA.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god.
Don't be a what was it? I'm not a chicken, you're a turkey.
Oh man.
That is for those who don't know what I'm quoting. It's a Ninja Turtles anti-drugs ad from I believe the late 80s.
Yeah.
And someone's like, "Don't be a chicken," and he's like, "I'm not a chicken, you're a turkey.
Yeah,
don't do drugs."
Come on, Johnny. All the cool kids are doing it. Nah, we're gonna go straight to Mr. Bungle on this sucker. No, we do have an awesome show for you. We got news, we got reviews, and we have the wrestling report on tables, ladders, and chairs. You gonna bring that to us, brother?
Yes.
All right, good stuff. Let's jump right into it with news stories because this one, we reported a while back that Kevin Smith was now spearheading the new Buckaroo Banzai television series. Mm-hmm. New information on that, which unfortunately might crush some of the hardcore fans we have out there because Kevin Smith has pulled out of the project.
Oh.
I'm not upset.
You're not upset?
I was never jazzed about his involvement in the first place, to be honest.
Oh, specifically him?
Because of him?
Just specifically him. Not that the project exists, but I'm not a huge Kevin Smith fan. I know I'm causing some extreme unrest here, but
you've broken his brain.
a wounded man. I'm not a huge Kevin Smith fan. I'll just keep saying it. But I am a huge Buckaroo Banzai fan, and I feel like this opens up an opportunity for someone to step in that I may be in more hype for.
Well, I was actually pretty jazzed that Kevin Smith himself was involved because I think that he, as a fan, would have more reverence for the project. Anyone that they bring on, just as a for hire.
Other people are fans of Buckaroo Banzai.
I definitely.
Clerks, Rats, Chasing Amy, Legend.
I don't like anything you're naming.
Wait, not Chasing Amy, Dogma.
Do you know how much people would bring up Chasing Amy to me?
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry.
As a queer Amy.
Yeah,
oh, okay. Well, in all fairness, do we at least get points for not even like considering that until you specifically brought it up just now?
Yeah.
I'll give y'all Mallrats. That one's pretty okay.
All right, real quick, Herb, can you turn down the background audio a little bit, please? All right, but no, this actually ties into Smith's reverence for the original creators because his reasons for departing. Well, let me just read it down. The director announced in a Facebook video, "Respectfully, I'm out." Smith was developing the TV reboot of the series for MGM. Now, we all recently discovered that MGM is currently filed a lawsuit against the creators of the original film This is the director W.D. Richter and the writer Earl Mac Rauch. I want to make sure I say that correct because that's kind of a wild name. Now, they were against the creation of the show itself, and they weren't going to see any royalties or anything like that. This was going to be a completely MGM project, and Smith found out, and he decided to walk. Now, there's been a lengthy dispute between the creators who assert that MGM only brought the rights to make the original film, so any other further properties with it would be theirs to own. While, on the other hand, MGM claimed that they claim they own it, saying that Richter and Rauch were only on the original film on a work-for-hire basis. So once that's created and done, you all are out, unless they say otherwise. Now, MGM is asking the court to declare that it owns the copyrights, and the Richter and Rauch can't prevent the news TV series from being made. Yeah, sorry. They're also trying to bar them from any additional ownership rights. So, any comic books that come from this, probably original character, action figure, properties, all that stuff. Now, while speaking very positive, now this is back to Smith, he spoke very positively about both Amazon, who's putting out the series. They're actually doing kind of big stuff with their TV series, and they're up and coming.
Yeah, Amazon's been doing some great work.
Yeah, they really have.
That Tick series, Jean-Claude Van Johnson, we talked about. So they're decent. And Smith made sure he spoke positively about them and about MGM. I'm pretty sure he's in this, I'm just trying to look out for people I respect, not trying to burn any bridges. And he has said that pending Rauch and Richter's re-involvement with the project, if the suit is settled and they're...
He's pulling out for I hate to say the best reasons you can, in that he's trying to protect his vision and the vision of others for this project. To be clear, I don't hate Kevin Smith. I just don't overly love his work. But as a director, he tends to be very, very positive with the different aspects that he uses. If he has, for example, when he moved into the horror genre, if you can call Tusk horror, but it kind of is. But
no, Tusk was horror bull. That's a different genre.
I'm just saying that he tries to do things in a way that is respectful to others. He stays in his lane. To put it colloquially, he stays in his lane.
I hear what you're saying,
and this is a really good example of him doing that with this project.
I like to think that he, even though he's gotten flack for some of the more outlandish chances he's taken with his own work that haven't always quite worked out for him, he is still at heart a film fan who's working in film. You look at people like Tarantino who could boast the same, and they are now an entity. Versus Kevin Smith is, I'm not a guy who likes to make film and who likes to watch film. To be involved in film and likes to work with cool people and do cool stuff and wear these ridiculous ass hockey shirts.
I do really like his story about trying to make that Superman movie though.
Oh, you read with the polar bears.
Oh my goodness, giant enemy spider.
Yeah. Just want to intervene here for a bit.
Yeah,
we have D Jackson 7581 on Twitch asked us, have you heard the 1994 MGM film Blown Away?
Yeah, I'm actually familiar with that. What do you have to say about it? Did you have a follow-up?
No follow-up, because he was waiting a bit for us to respond. I was waiting for...
Okay, yes, we are aware. Now, one of the things that Kevin Smith really wanted to boast is that he is willing to rejoin the project if Richter and Rauch are allowed to continue on their own merit. So basically, if they sign off on it as well. So I think that's kind of deep. I'll give him props for that.
Absolutely, I mean, it's just him being true to the creators of it, and as opposed to just running off and doing his own thing. Because more often than not, directors are tempted to do that. Like this could be something that I go in the books for, I go in the records for, and for him to say, you know what, out of respect to the original creators of this, I'm falling back, and nothing but props to Kevin Smith for that.
Good. I mean, I can't say anything about myself.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like I said, it's the best worst scenario for those who are really hyped about this. He's not like burning bridges. Screw you guys, I won't do this. But he's still withdrawing from the project.
All right, so Amy's still hating. Gotcha.
He can burn in hell. No, I just don't love his work. I just don't love it. I don't hate him.
Okay.
I think we need to chase you out the door.
Oh! Stop. Don't be that guy. Shame on you. All right.
We would have no Ben Affleck, no Matt Damon without him.
Hey, Johnny.
These are things we want.
Johnny, be good.
I think I deserve to be punished.
You can.
Okay, you are. Okay.
Everything happens so much.
Herb, can we cut his mic?
He's
okay, so.
me.
Don't.
Bill O'Reilly never cut us right.
Hey, you know what? F it, we'll do it live, all right? Next news story. Well, this is a real quick one, just because this actually involves something we covered just to the ends of. Okay, we covered so much of Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go was the shiz. All right, and I think Amy's reaction right now says everything about
I'm
it.
still level 12. I'm not gonna. I love the Pokemon games, but I love that they are RPGs with a plot, and Pokemon Go just doesn't do it for me. But I feel like a negative Nancy. I really enjoyed catching all the ghosties near Halloween, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, but then again, you have a special penchant for.
I do love ghost types.
Pokemon.
I love ghost types, and then I'll just be like, oh, an Eevee, and everyone's like, why didn't you catch the Eevee? And I'm like,
Well, see, we're natural enemies. I like the magic types myself. No one does more with a bent spoon than your boy right here.
You mean psychic?
I'll get down.
Pleb?
What? Really?
Magic types?
Yes. Magic types are the shiz. How dare you? All right. Well, the story we're talking.
No such thing.
Oh.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay, shots are fired. We're gonna have a knockdown drag out. We'll see how it is. All right, but no, we're talking about I'll read it down real quick. Niantic is making changes to Pokemon Go. Hoping to bring back some of the millions of millions of users who no longer play regularly.
Big time.
Now, there's a 96% drop off.
96.
I don't doubt that.
Wow.
I have friends that used to change their route to and from work just to maximize their Pokemon Go playing, and now nobody seems to care.
My friends, they picnicked at a particular area down south, and they dragged me along there, and it was this park, Bicentennial or some park, and there were hundreds of people there doing the same thing. Like they made it an entire day event. They brought food, they brought drinks, they were picnicking.
You to Pokemon under false pretenses.
Everyone was playing Pokemon.
I mean, I got military soldiers, man, who were out there catching Pokemon on a military post just for their kids, so they could bring it back home. Because like, Daddy caught all these Pokemon for me. Nobody's doing it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I had soldiers who were spending money. I know soldiers who were spending cash money buying Pokeballs. It was just like, it got repetitive. She's right.
They didn't introduce anything worthwhile that was new, and particularly the hardcore people. Once they caught everything, it's like, oh, let me hatch my 50th egg. Great. Ooh, it's another, Pidgey. Great.
I got a couple of gems. I'm good.
Like people, it's like, oh, I captured the gym near my house. Now it's gone. Now I got it. Now it's gone. Now I got it. Like, there's just not a lot going on.
Cosmetically, it had the Pokemon in there, but when it came to like the actual mechanics that made Pokemon so successful, it didn't have that.
No.
You weren't really battling and getting into like this in-depth turn-based battle and switching out your Pokemon and doing different moves and sequencing it correctly. No, it didn't have that.
I think
you just tapped the screen.
Well, I think the real missed opportunity was not just finding just a buttload of jinxes and then opening up your own Pokemon brothel. But that's me. Okay, so after a 96% drop off since it's now actually history making, released last summer, the game publisher Niantic has added promotional elements and gameplay tweaks, frequent player rewards, events that make it easier for a higher level of users to advance, as well as new features such as more creatures, trading, and now some of the things that speculate in the future is perhaps player versus player mode.
I'm trying to play it right now and it just froze.
Okay, see, there you go. Things like this are the reason I think people just said screw it.
I'm just telling you right now, like I literally logged in to play right this minute and it froze.
Damn.
Oh, there's a Rattata on the table.
Better catch a
Rattata. The ultra rare Rattata that no one sees.
That's exactly. No, that jokes aside, that's kind of the point. Like, oh, I caught a Rattata. Oh, I didn't even catch it.
You didn't even catch it.
Oh,
he broke out.
He broke out. Oh,
he's gone.
The photo Rattata dragging a pizza slice up some stairs.
Pizza Rat has escaped. Pizza Rat has escaped.
Nah, but okay, things like that. Okay,
no,
so
but it's a perfect example of like I literally just opened the game to play it and had to close it and open it again because it froze the first time.
And she got a Rattata.
I didn't even catch the Rattata. The Rattata showed up and then I didn't catch it and it ran off.
Yep.
Man, it should have been like an Articuno just there chilling. Like, what up, Frost? Gone. But no, that's the thing. Do you think this is too little too late? Because I think
it absolutely is. Because what they should have been introducing these things at the height of popularity. They should have introduced a little more. People have been waiting for interpersonal battles. People have been waiting for trading with friends, and these things have not come. And it's just over. They lost the cultural zeitgeist. They had it in their grasp, and they let it go. Just like Team Rocket every time they lose Pikachu.
they released it and it was buggy, and that was the main thing that
Yeah,
they spent most
still
of their
buggy.
early few
Just
months,
froze
you know,
right now.
So that wouldn't
fixing
be a
up with all
problem,
those
but
bugs.
I think we can look at the Fallout series for how that in itself is not enough to kill a game franchise.
Not a
And-
bug,
Oh
it's a
no,
feature.
no.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not a bug.
Pokemon
it's a
Go
feature.
is way more buggy than
It's
way,
un-
way,
way
way
more
Really?
buggy.
Because that-
unplayable
Yes.
buggy.
Big
Oh,
time.
Mhm.
Big
Because
time.
that is a hard level to measure up
It
to
is
when you talk
truly
about.
unplayable.
Yeah. All right. One of the main reasons I never got into it was because that's the first thing I expected too. Oh snap, yo! Pokemon is gonna be an augmented reality interactive experience. Word, cool. I'm gonna catch my Dragonair. I'm gonna hit the streets. It's gonna get real. It's gonna get raw. I'm gonna start my own Squirtle squad. And then
Yep.
it's like, okay, so I'm throwing this at the Pidgey. Okay, I missed it. Throwing another ball at the Pidgey. Okay, I missed it. Throwing another ball at the Pidgey. Because we're tied over there. Okay, get that later. Throwing a ball at the Pidgey. Like, okay, really? This is kind of counterproductive and boring. And you all were jazzed. And I'm like, okay,
I
cool.
was so
I see maybe
hyped.
I'm just not the audience for it. And now even the hardcore fans have dropped off to the point where the company makes most of its money off of other products that have come from the popularity of Pokemon Go.
Yep. Actually, the most recent Pokemon games that released was it
so
Sun
good.
and Moon. Those ended up being the #1 selling games for Nintendo for quite some time.
And they're
so-
fantastic. I have Moon, and it's exceptional. It's
I've been Moon
exceptional.
too. It's not that great every time. No, okay. So as somebody who's
You
a
made me
regular
throw
player,
my headphones out because I was so angry.
No, I mean, as somebody who's a regular player of other Pokemon
Yeah.
games, this is the one that, I mean, even as a hardcore fan, this is the one where you're more than willing to wash your hands of.
Sun and Moon is fantastic, and then Pokemon Go, I feel, especially for someone that loves the gameplay, Pokemon Go offers nothing. It's like, giving someone, hey, do you want this pizza that's like bread with a sprinkling of cheese on top, or do you want this, supreme pizza with as many options as you want?
It's
Dragged
not
away
even.
by a Rattata.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah,
more like
it's
it's more like a leftover taco
Yeah,
from like
exactly.
Tuesday that.
Last Tuesday's leftover taco. No,
Yeah.
but
It's like if I'm really hungry, I'll eat it, but I really don't want to
exactly,
eat
like,
it.
jokes
Yeah.
aside, like Pokemon Go just consistently is disappointing,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
even especially they had really hoped to hit off with like younger tweens.
Mhm.
They've already moved on to whatever the next app is because again, it's just repetitive gameplay, no payoff, and it just you're just not enjoying. They just released another slew of Pokemon. Nobody cares because the game crashes when you try to catch it, and that's so common.
I think they may have been
It's a
alright
shallow
if they
game.
tried to. No, I think it is. Their thing would have been, and Nintendo's notorious for not offering partnership deals, so I don't see any reason why Pokemon would have gone that way. But if they'd done something like, okay, we can mod your game of Flappy Bird, now it's a Pidgey or something.
Yeah,
that's
they
actually
just didn't
flapping
offer
through, yeah.
anything. I also assumed eventually there'd be like mini in-game something, much like they used to have for those who played previous versions like XY, for example. There were like mini games you can play within the game. I assumed there'd be something like that for Pokemon Go. It was
Yeah, I thought it'd be
never
extensive. They're
introduced.
talking about they've got map. They've got
It was
like
never
GPS
introduced.
action going on.
Nothing was introduced. It's just bland. Play it by yourself. The reason for this is, for those who don't know, Pokemon Go is based on a game called Ingress,
Yeah,
which
man. Mhm.
which was it's called geocaching, where you go around and
Mhm.
you're like, I found this awesome point near MIT. The
I
MIT
found a
museum.
friendship bracelet somebody left
Yeah,
under this rock in
but
the
it's-
park that I spent an hour and a half looking for. Forget them. I thought one with money.
But the thing is that they just imported the Ingress locations into Pokemon Go.
That's all they did.
And so that's also why, we live here in Boston and we have a pretty okay time of it. I have friends that live in the Midwest and they have no Pokestops. They would have to drive 45 minutes to get to a Pokestop. It's just been, remember, we have a fairly okay amount of Pokemon stops and different Pokemon things. If you live even certain areas of New York, like I'm not talking about New York City, Long Island, like more up toward upstate,
Yep.
you have nothing. Nothing. There are people constantly complaining. If you go on the Pokemon Go forums, which I have, all the time, there's people like, okay, cool, so there's one Pokestop in my town. Like, that's something that they really didn't seem to think through. If you live in the city, New York City, for example, is an incredible place
Yeah,
to play
great.
Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
But if you
Rural
live
areas
anywhere
that
else, that's why if there's a 96% off drop-off, it's not just the people in the cities. It's all across America. It's just garbage. It's
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
complete.
No regional
Most
meth
of
lab that set
America.
up a Pokestop, they get no business. Area 51 that set up a Pokestop, they get no business.
Area 51 is
No,
a
it's not.
Pokestop. Fun fact.
Yeah,
It
that
is
was
a
a-
real. That is a real Pokestop.
It's virtually every military post is a Pokestop.
Yeah,
Like
but-
with any monument of any Confederate leader.
I remember I was reading something where they were having trouble with people trying to like get as close as possible to like use the Area 51 Pokestop, and they had to be like, no, this is just a military base, and you can't do that.
I do remember that. I'm just waiting on the news story where like the last 2 people playing Pokemon Go find the last remaining Pokestop out in the middle of some obscure town run by some dude named Zed. Alright, Zed's dead, baby.
Zed's dead, baby.
With Old Yeller just passed out.
Alright, so just don't pay attention to the guy in the black suit. There really is no follow to the story here. It's just it's on its last legs. If anyone's interested in getting back into Pokemon Go, now would be the time. They're adding new elements to hopefully make the damn thing more fun and more well fleshed out than it has been in the past. But in the meantime, play Sun and Moon. Live a little. Alright,
Sun and Moon, excellent.
Highly recommended by Mix Macau. Don't make fun of me, brother. Alright, let's jump right into an actual story about what I think is a good game. Bootleg Systems. I got to check out Bootleg Systems. Bootleg Systems specifically is a cyberpunk first-person shooter and puzzle platformer. Now the game is a single-player immersive storyline retro sci-fi universe, they describe it as. The thing that makes this game worth at least checking out is the innovative clone gun. Now, yeah.
You don't say.
I do indeed. It caught me on a similar level to Portal in innovation in first-person shooting type games. Whether or not the puzzle platforming aspect is formidable enough, let's check it out. Johnny, I got to see it. I got to play it. Did you?
I did. It's so what's playable is a demo that they have, not the full game. It's still very much in a work in progress, early access type of thing. And the demo is only like maybe 10 minutes if you're being generous. It's
about 10 minutes. It's just for that. It's just for the one mission or the one objective.
Yeah, the one objective. There was a few aspects of it that wasn't very straightforward. Like you had to get.
Johnny's starting off hating early.
Well, you have to get it's fine. It's when I played it, I immediately recognized it as a proof of concept.
Okay. Yep.
So as I was playing it and looking at it and what it's trying to do and the puzzle elements it's trying to hit, I was like, yeah, okay, this can be turned into something interesting. I would not go on the level of Portal-esque with the gun, the clone gun.
Okay.
I think you're going.
Explain the clone gun for those listening. What is this elusive clone gun?
All right, your weapon in this game isn't like a standard first-person shooter, just a gun that fires bullets. You have a gun that clones a lot of things in the environment. I thought it'd just be a couple of things because you're started off with just 3 specific items on podiums. But you can clone. It's like bananas. There's a barbell, some stuff like that. Toilet paper.
Yeah,
oh, nice. Oh, thank God.
And your weapon basically operates like a Star Trek replicator. You take an image of that, and then the gun creates and stores 25 copies of that. And that becomes your ammunition.
So you aim at an object, you beam it into the gun or suck it into the gun or whatever, and then you then have a limited amount of uses of it, and whatever it is that you're sucking in has, I guess the only stat that makes the different object, one of the main stats that makes the different objects different from one another is its weight.
Yes.
And the higher the weight, the more damage it's going to do when you fire it out of the gun. The other part about it is you can suck in some pretty huge objects. So you can get in like these big giant, those, when you go to the mall, there's like a plant inside of a big giant pot.
Yeah.
And it's massive. So you can suck one of those things into your gun, start firing these massive plant pots.
Now, brother, my weapon of choice was the steel construction girders that they make buildings out of. So you suck those in, you get.
And also toilet paper rolls.
And toilet paper. Toilet paper.
It's the software below.
Yeah, it doesn't do any damage. You have to switch it.
I'm shocked.
Hit you in the face with a steel girder, then hit the toilet paper here. Wipe away those tears.
They have like big giant water jugs that you can fire off at different things. It's and you take. As you're using these objects, the shape of the object is part of like a puzzly type of element, where there's this, as Pat brought up with the big giant steel girders, there's this massive gap they have to traverse.
Yes.
And in order to traverse, you have to shoot these steel girders into the long gap until it fills it up, and you can jump onto the girders to get across.
Yep. Now that's part of the puzzle platforming aspect, which unfortunately is one of the few things I actually had a problem with. because I'm really into platforming games, really into puzzle games. Well, not really into puzzle games, but I do appreciate some good puzzle games. Puzzle platformers are the shiz, in my opinion. Games like Shadow Complex, which people mistake more for an action game, is a puzzle-oriented platforming action game. But I was hoping for more of that, and there's only like 2 or 3 puzzles where you actually use those. Now, you do get to use the clone gun in interesting ways that you wouldn't think of, because it seems like, okay, this is purely for offense. It's a weapon that I use. I clone this, and I can attack these drones that are coming after me. And then I solve a puzzle, and I attack more drones. But some of the puzzles, and there's only a couple, again, this was only a short demo, but some of the puzzles are completed by sucking things into the gun, so you have more of one world object you can use. There was things like a mixtape. You know, it's random stuff. That's actually a poignant item. You know,
and a boombox. There was 2 robots in a hot tub, and in front of them was a boombox. And then you could go up to the boombox, hit the eject button, and there was a cassette tape in there. And then you could suck that into your gun and start firing cassette tapes and stuff.
You shoot at mixtapes.
You shoot mixtapes.
You can shoot mixtapes, and then you can shoot it back into the boombox to continue playing the music.
Just want to borrow your fresh jams real quick. Okay, so let me just before I gush all over the sucker. That was one of the problems I had. Another one I actually did have is with they really went all out with the 80s synth and fluorescent aesthetic. And
that's a bad thing?
That's a bad thing.
Well, that's never a bad thing.
It's a bad thing because it gets intense. Imagine if you're playing Blood Dragon.
Me.
Imagine if you're playing Blood Dragon at the same time someone overlays the Last Resort scene from Total Recall, that club. You know?
It's more than that. It's way more than that.
Well, I'm layering here, but it was very intense to the point where if one of these things was placed in the background, that's awesome, that's dope. I love it. I love the atmosphere, and I'm enjoying the game. Imagine like 7 of those all in a row being shoved at you at once.
It's like looking into a black light or looking into neon signs.
Do we?
Yeah, it's
like
for
2
those
inches from your face.
For those
it's just
who don't
neon
know,
everywhere.
I have neon yellow and orange eyeshadow on right now.
Well, they can see you now.
They can't see that from here.
They
so.
can't see that from here. All right, well,
I can move the camera up.
I'd have to get all up in there.
all right. Well, if Amy Macabre was zapped with the clone gun,
And I'm also like,
If you want to pinch and squeeze the screen,
Yeah.
zoom in on Amy's eyeshadow.
it's my aesthetic. Apparently, they're complaining that this game is my aesthetic.
all right. Imagine Amy Macabre, and then someone took clone gun and zapped, and now there's 2 Amy Macabres, and then someone zapped you again,
I'd
and
play
now there's
this
3
game.
Amy Macabres.
I'd play this game.
Okay. Well, basically what I'm getting at is it started off with something that looked awesome and then got way too intense because I think they were just force feeding it to you. Again, just a demo. From some of the stills, it looks like some of the later levels are a little more like widespread, but the whole thing came across like a laser shark video, which is good music but far too intense visuals.
Well, so the visuals are a bit. They need to probably tone it, as you said, it's a bit high. They need to tone it down a little bit, and it would be more acceptable. But they shouldn't go too extreme. I actually really like the visuals because it's there's this new movement in music that's happening called retro wave.
It looks like synthwave to me.
Well, retro wave, synthwave are essentially the same thing. And the music that was in there was retro wave music. And it was great, you know, it was good stuff. It was kind of like the basics of retro wave.
You can't
And then they had
the word
the visuals.
wave at the end of something and make it a music genre. Is that what the kids do these days?
Oh, they also call it like slasher wave. There's like a gajillion names for it. There's synth wave, slasher wave, dark wave, retro wave.
My brain ollied outies at vaporwave.
No. Right now we're practicing geek wave.
Dark wave.
Yep.
Eric is in the back practicing gangsta boogie wave. Yeah, you know, we're chilling here.
Yeah.
That game sounds vaporwave.
It's.
I'm not saying that to be facetious. I mean, I really genuinely am using that word correctly.
Yeah,
And I think that game is vaporwave.
All right, it's not. I only know vaporware. Is that related?
No.
I'm so out of touch.
I would comment, but I don't know what vaporwave is.
Oh, you gotta get a tumbler and get all up on the tumbler.
I feel like this is borderline.
Tumblr.
Get some vaporwave aesthetics going.
Okay, no, this is. I feel like there's some
Choice
pornographic.
aesthetics.
Pornographic undertones here I'm missing because I'm a fogey.
I'm
They'll
not. For
research
once,
later.
I'm not.
All right,
Just because my aesthetic is like a twink with neon makeup and board shorts doesn't mean that has to be everyone's vaporwave.
All right, well, at the
You
point
know,
where we're talking
holding-
about vaporwaves, I put my hand in whatever the hell's wet over here again. I
That's the result of the last video.
Man, I've never
As he
been.
wipes it on his pants.
Where am I gonna wipe it, brother? I've never been so uncomfortable in this room. Man, I don't hear.
Ectoplasm.
Yeah, there's someone else's problem now. All right.
He missed that. He missed that and got the
All
table.
right. Well.
Oh no.
All right. Well, we'll talk about Bootleg Systems. But when it comes down to it, bottom line, it was a short demo. I enjoyed it. It was actually pretty innovative, in my opinion. I would like to see more puzzle more puzzle aspects of the game, and possibly more puzzle platform. The little bit of puzzle platforming in there, they used it well, but I think this was kind of a rush to get it out because we'll create a lot of hype for it. And I'm hoping that it's not just like a one-shot, gimmick where they shot their wad with this quick demo. It's available right now on Steam. I would like to give more of the game a shot. Johnny.
So yeah, definitely check out this game. If Retrowave ever tickles your fancy, this is one of the best Retrowave manifestations. It's right up there with Hotline Miami as far as owning the Retrowaveness.
I'd go straight to Far Cry Blood Dragon.
Yep, that too, very much.
Retro City Rampage, if anyone played that, imagine that game without the really ham-fisted top-down aspects and just focusing on the fun stuff.
And the other part is the level design is, it's just the first level. It's meant to be like a demo sort of tutorial type of thing, so I wouldn't bear down on too much, but that game is going to make or break based on level design, because the aesthetics, which I actually really like to a certain extent, is only going to take it so far. And if they don't have level designs and puzzle designs, which is the more important part, if they don't have those things sort of interesting every new puzzle, there's something new along every single bend. If it's just hallway, shoot a bunch of robots, another hallway, shoot a bunch of robots, then go into one room that has a basic puzzle, then it's not gonna. Yeah.
All right. So bottom line, if you ever wanted to use a fine young cannibal cassette as a weapon, all right.
Sounds like that would drive me crazy.
Oh.
Never mind.
What? I was there with you. Fine. All right. Well, I got to check out something else real quick. I'll keep this one brief since I think I'm the only one in the room that saw it. But there's a new show. It's available right now. Most of it's available on demand. It's a TNT called Good Behavior. Good Behavior itself. Dude, first of all, I enjoy the sucker. What it's about? Based on the Letty Dobesh books by Blake Crouch, Good Behavior centers on a con artist, Letty Raines, and her inability, despite good intentions, to consistently live a clean life. I mean, that's the start of it. It's like an ex-con
Sign me
trying
up.
to make her way in the world. But, fresh out of prison, Letty attempts to reunite with her 10-year-old son and keep regular contact with her parole officer, whose motives for helping her are questionable. But after she overhears a hitman being hired to kill a man's wife, Letty sets out to derail the job and finds herself on a collision course with the killer, entangling herself in a dangerous and seductive relationship. Now, that actually is what the show is about, and it was dope. It also makes it sound like it's a little more fast-paced than I think audiences would like. What this comes down to is, imagine if there was a cross between the Transporter, the Professional, and maybe Over the Top and Pretty Woman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, Letty herself was in prison for a few different things, but nothing like no murder or anything. She's not a hardened criminal. She's just somebody who found it's kind of easy to pick a wallet, and money's free. Let me do it again, and let me do it again, and let me do it again. And the show starts out with some interesting cons that she's running. She's out of prison, and she tried to make her way, in the world as a reputable citizen again, and finds that when you're an ex-con, when you're female especially, trying to work a job as a waitress, and your boss isn't helping you out because when you're getting sexually harassed by customers because you're an ex-con, why should I back you and all this stuff? It becomes kind of hard to make a living, let alone make enough to be deemed fit to support a child so you can regain custody of your son. So the show starts off with her pulling small cons, but interesting cons, and the show really presents them in ways where it's entertaining to watch. It's like, well, I didn't think of that. Maybe I could do that. That's kind of clever.
That's my problem with all of these shows with the con artists, because I always sit there maybe I can do this. Because fun fact, I can count cards.
Oh,
And
so
don't
can I. 1, 2,
don't recommend
3,
actually
4.
doing that in real life.
Not a
And
college professor who
that's
did
my
that, and nope,
story.
I'm good.
Wait, were you that basis for that movie with Mark Wahlberg, weren't you?
My college professor probably was, but
I probably shouldn't have said that on air.
No,
probably not.
no,
That's all right. Probably not. I was like,
The good news is that it doesn't really come up in my life, other than the one time that it did.
Wait, the one time. Hold on a second now. There's a story there.
But you know what's funny though?
The story is don't count cards.
The funny thing is, you're right. When you watch some of these shows, you're like, I could probably get away
Yeah,
with
you're
that.
like, I could do that.
But the flip side is, remember the CSI first came out, movie shows like that, you're kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I can get away with that anymore.
Yeah,
It's funny how it just
They
turns.
should just
180 on
air.
that one.
They should just air Good Behavior and then CSI. And
You're
then you're like,
Well, they will
no.
find semen under a light fixture and ruin your day. No. The thing about Good Behavior, I watch a lot of those shows too, and I'm like, okay, now that I watch CSI, I know how they'll track me, so this is how I get around it. What actually happens is when she pulls those cons, things eventually go bad. When she tries
it's
to
TV.
when she tries to use the inside information she got from pulling those cons to actually do good things, things go even worse. And the whole aspect of, I mentioned the professional because when she crosses paths with this dude who turns out to be an assassin, and through a process of events that I won't kind of divulge because that in itself will be a spoiler, but this fact is not, she ends up being his protege. And it actually takes a turn for the interesting. I won't say the worst, I won't say the better. I'll say, dude, this thing throws you a curve like a mother, and it's awesome.
I'm not gonna front. I'm actually interested in seeing this because I've been hearing a lot about it. It's getting a lot of buzz, and it's definitely something I'm interested in seeing. And you're selling me on it.
Oh,
You
dude,
are.
I was jazzed. It was. I honestly, if I didn't have to do the review, this would have been something I passed by because the description is kind of blasé. I won't, I can't even fudge that, and they don't present it in any way that makes it look like as interesting as it was. And I mean, I guess for the premise, it is kind of a hard sell, and if I wasn't familiar with those books, yeah, it's something I probably wouldn't give a second glance to. But now having had the experience, I highly recommend it, just because it's so Okay, first of all, I do have to point out also that there's two versions. There's the regular TNT version that you'll see on regular broadcast TV, and then there are the explicit versions that are available on demand. The explicit versions, you're gonna see more sex. You're gonna hear a lot more language, a lot more like dialogue.
So we're talking about like Cinemax After Dark, is what you're saying?
Yes, with fewer nipples.
Gotcha.
They do draw the line somewhere because it is still TNT. But I am wondering, since I watched the explicit versions, not the regular, how some scenes actually played out, because there are full-on conversations about, I know what's going to happen now. You're going to pull over and bust on my titties. Well, I'm not going to let that happen. Like, whoa, you can't say that on, this thing will broadcast like 9 p.m. This kid's, getting ready for soccer practice like tomorrow morning. What's going on? And I mean, mind you, I censored myself there. Okay, so this thing went nth degree, and I loved it. All right, we're talking like Tarantino level of in depth.
Right.
So I'm wondering how this is broadcast on a regular basis on network.
Damn, Tarantino level.
Yeah.
Wow.
I loved it. I was very surprised too. I'm like, fine, let me see this. Oh, she puts a wig on. Ooh, very, very clever criminal. And then, ooh, what? Oh,
So we're talking about Tarantino blood splatter Tarantino?
No, okay, not.
It'd be like Tarantino N-word Tarantino.
Tarantino,
more N-word Tarantino. But less. Yeah.
I was thinking Royale with
Mia's
cheese
Tarantino.
Tarantino. Like dialogue that is making some sort of point, but you don't really get what it is.
No. Okay, I'm glad you said that. That in itself is clever, interesting dialogue and conversation. This is more the story will rivet you because they really work the suspense. They do it a little too hard sometimes. But then again, you get what kind of material this is, and they really want to pull you in. This is a TV show. They're trying to keep your attention by getting a little unrealistic sometimes. But that didn't take away from my enjoyment of the story itself. I wanted to know what happens once one episode ended. I wanted to see the next one. I'm like, oh, it didn't end on a corny cliffhanger, but the story has me. I want to know what happens now. And then, she did this, and everything. This is the interesting twist. It's not a criminal who couldn't stay away. It's somebody who was a criminal, was an alcoholic, and is still immersed in this world, but still legitimately trying to do good things. But it's from trying to do good things that bad things keep happening, and the way they write that is really clever. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm saying the way they write that is really clever, and you think it gets stale, but through the first 4 or 5 episodes, still, I want to follow it. I recommend this.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's always good to have a show that's taken off.
Well, here's the way. It's an imperfect show that I still highly recommend. I acknowledge it's
No star.
imperfect, but All right, the show is called Good Behavior. It's on TNT right now. I highly recommend also checking out the on-demand explicit episodes, except for you kids. It's starring Michelle Dockery, Juan Diego Boto, Terry Kinney, and Louisa Strauss. So,
What's the difference between the regular and the explicit?
a lot of dialogue, sexual content, some violence.
Oh.
Yeah, but all of it like
Skinemax.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, passion.
Yeah,
Violence
that
is the
was
best
that was
part.
that was very surprising. All right, but I talked far too long about that. I want to turn it over to my man JM. You got to check out a comic you want to lay on us, my brother.
Yes, this is the Image Anthology issue number 7. So this dropped early for the electronic version. I'm assuming it's going to drop a little later for the actual hardcover version or hardbound version. So ultimately, these are samples of what we should be expecting in 2017, and there's a lot of them. I'm gonna highlight the major 3, and one additional one. I believe there's about 7 in total. But I just want to highlight a couple of these. So the first one I'm going to highlight is The Few. This is probably the shortest one, the shortest sample out of these 7. It is an interesting one. I mean, it's really straight to the point. It's a dystopian America, end of the world sort of scenario is really what it is. Guy wakes up, and he's just kind of wandering around like, oh my God, everybody's dead, and I'm like the last survivor sort of thing.
I've been there, man.
Pretty much. So we'll
Tequila.
see. Pretty much. You're just like, all right. Sean Lewis writes this one. He's the writer of the Saints comic series, and I have yet to read them. Not Boondock Saints, just Saints. So I guess Saints addresses these saints who have passed away, and they're not dead, but they're coming back to life or something or other. So I got to take a relook at that. But ultimately, this is his second foray with The Few. So this is issue number 1, and just kind of give you a quick little blurb of that. On the front cover, the image that Johnny threw up there, you have the cover for Cursewords number 1. So Cursewords, I'm always really interested in. Charles Soule, who did Daredevil and Death of Wolverine, did this one. It's interesting. A little blurb is more or less interesting description. It's Lord of the Rings meets Breaking Bad. Instead of meth, with magic. So you have this
said
wizard.
Lord of the Rings meets Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Tron dancing. So there's this wizard. Ultimately, there's this wizard who does wizardry for money. Is really what it is.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Pretty much. So he shows up at Central Park one day, does wizardry. So issue number 1 just shows him he's with this Bieber sort of character who wishes to have his whole entire body platinum. Like he asks his wizard to make his body platinum. He pays him money for it.
Yeah, there's
So
no
the
possible way
wizard-
that can go wrong at all.
Pretty much. So the wizard's name is Wizord, and he stabs him in the chest. His whole body is platinum. Guy's excited. Come to find out his whole body's numb. He can't feel anything, so he's kind of freaking out about that.
Oh man.
Who saw that coming?
Exactly. He's like, dude, you're metal, but you're alive. You lucky this thing even worked. So Wizard has a talking koala bear with him. So it's pretty nice.
Pause. What?
Yes, he has a talking koala. That's his sidekick. So
I believe the term is familiar.
What kind of LSD?
It's like, hey now.
What kind of mushroom trip inspired this sucker is what I want to know.
Maybe issue 2 and 3 they do get a little familiar. I don't know.
Wow, cat's sitting there on salvia like, you know what? It's time to get down with my koala. So yo, I got that there eucalyptus lube.
So I'm actually excited about this one outside the whole the koala thing. Outside of that, I'm actually interested. It's pretty interesting. The next one that I went through is God Country number 1. Donnie Cates.
I believe in God's country.
Ironically enough, the reason why they went down is specifically because of that, because he was like, you always hear about, you going into world country. There's always sort of like a negative connotation, or that's bad man country. That people throw out there. So the notion of God country is not necessarily God the Almighty.
Wait, we can't stay here. It's a bad country.
That's Dorchester Watts Bay, not there. Come on through. We won't hurt you. But in any event, so it's more or less he ultimately took the notion of the Bible Belt and turned that and used that notion of God country. So it's set in Texas of a widower who has dementia. He gets caught in a hurricane, and ultimately he is cured, but he has this magic sword with him. And ultimately, he's walking the land of seeing who's left, who survived this hurricane, and he's just slaughtering monsters that are out there. So it's really interesting. But the religious references are clearly connected to the notion of the Bible Belt, even though it's not God as in God Almighty. Ironically enough, they use a Cormac McCarthy quote to open up the issue number 1. So I'm actually excited about that one too.
Of course, yeah. It's from the book of Garth Ennis, circa 1982, with the Yeah, it's in the Bible. It's toward the back
To
somewhere.
the back somewhere.
Yeah.
That part you don't make it to in Sunday school. Finally, ironically enough, this one's called Dante. Dante's written by Matt Hawkins and Jason Ning. It's all about a retired hitman who, in his last, he got snatched up, kidnapped by someone who hired him because he wanted to get out the game, and he ultimately killed an innocent Asian kid. But apparently, the Asian kid had connections, some superpower connections, and he's been cursed. This hitman who killed him, Dante. So now you're trying to figure out why and how he got these superpowers and why his body's covered in tattoos, like he's Hakushi for you WWE fans. Covered with all these tattoos, why it happened, what's happened to him, and ultimately he's still running from these people who tried to kill him that he escaped from. At the same time, he already got married, has a wife and a kid, and he's like, I want to keep them away from it. So it's that the whole anti-hero sort of thing that this is going for. So, I mean, I'm interested in this. I mean, mind you, I am a thriller priest, so I am a little interested in this based upon a title, which is a little biased on my part, but the art is great. And across the board, Johnny put the image on there. Check this out. I think it's pretty good for you to be able to get an understanding and see where some of these creators, some of these illustrators, some of these writers are dropping new comics for 2017. It's definitely something to be looking forward to. So I give it a thumbs up. Thanks a lot, Pete, for letting me review this.
Cool. No, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
No, it all sounds really interesting.
Yeah. Come through every now and then. Yo, man, why you make me read that bullshit? I'm gonna tell you next time. It's like, okay, cool.
I mean, we talking about deaths that day. Like 3 people died. It's like, okay, yeah, we want you to review the Incredible Hulk dying. Like, come on, bro, really? And it's like, ultimately then prepare for the funeral. Like, come on, Pete. Because I'm gonna get the priest to read about, the funeral arrangements for the Incredible Hulk, how the family's angry and people want to have control of who puts him in the ground. Like, come on, Pete.
I'm sorry, man.
I deal with that in my regular life.
They kind of play you on that one, yo. My bad, but it's okay, man. You got God's country to back you up. All right, so, all right,
Oh, man.
I got to check out another.
You learn well.
I got to check out a this one's kind of this one's a little different. It's a movie, but it's more of a documentary. This was actually called Living in the Age of Airplanes, and it came out or was made in 2015. It was just recently released to the public in DVD, Blu-ray, all that stuff, and they had another round of screenings, and it's narrated by Harrison Ford. This goes out of its way to really showcase the history of I guess the lack of history of man's dealings with airplanes and flight. How far we've come in such a short amount of time, to the point where a lot of the first 10 minutes easy is all about different advances that we've made, or lack of advances we've made in transportation. To the point where it's just like, okay, for the first 18,000 years we walked everywhere, and then at some point 400 years ago we made a wheel. Okay, your facts might be a little off. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but the whole thing is it's really showcasing how far we've come in transportation that led us to flight in itself, and then how pivotal airplanes have been in mankind's evolution for the past 100 years or so. Mm-hmm. Just putting it down real quick, the proper description is: Living in the Age of Airplanes is a story about how the airplane has changed the world. Filmed in 18 countries across all 7 continents, it renews our appreciation for one of the most extraordinary and awe-inspiring aspects of the modern world. And that's pretty much it. It shows airplanes. It shows, okay, we used to walk and now we rode animals. We used to ride animals, then we rode animals pulling carts. Then we rode carts. Then we rode carts that pulled themselves. Then we rode planes that flew. And okay.
I mean, did they even mention the Wright brothers at all? Or?
Briefly. Everything is glossed over because this is meant. Now, no, I understand why, having actually watched it, myself, and it's really meant to showcase visuals. Okay. Mostly visuals. Like, this is supposed to show you airplanes got us here, and then they show you a bunch of dope airplanes, but they don't say much about them. It's like, okay, this is an airplane that flew here. This is the type of airplane, and now we go to space shuttles. Like, okay, and I want to know about those. You got models, you got cool stuff, you got different. This is Spruce Goose. What's that about Spruce Goose? Who's this guy with
Spruce Goose?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's some dude with shoeboxes on his feet. I want to know what's going on there.
That's my boy.
Yeah, but it glosses over all that.
That's my crazy boy.
This was meant to showcase visuals. Visual. Don't get me wrong, it was stunning. If I saw this sucker in IMAX, I would be blown away.
I'm just really glad something like this was made. It's something that we don't really think about, but airplanes completely changed the way all civilizations functioned. You went from being almost inaccessible sea travel to saying, oh, you want to go to London? You'll be there half a day.
Yeah. Oh, the Concords.
Let's not forget, airplanes also introduced one of the most popular fears in people.
Oh, yes. Fear of Wesley Nielsen.
Always so positive, Johnny. Only the finest comes.
I mean, did they reference Chuck Yeager at all, or no?
No. The thing about this was, it really was just to showcase how pretty things can be.
Okay.
And give less technical information, more, now you know about airplanes, but we'll really show you. And I think this was really meant as a production to be shown in theaters. It kind of does it a disservice because there really was some interesting information, and Harrison Ford was like the right voice to bring to this. Yeah, you know.
He loves flying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, didn't he also crash a plane?
He did.
Okay, Johnny,
but he's also not crashed many times. But Harrison Ford, for those who don't know,
hold on. In all fairness, there was a plane in the there was a snake in the plane that time.
Oh, there was a get off my plane.
For those listening who don't know, Harrison Ford is an accomplished pilot, and he is extremely into vintage planes and a lot of different vintage aerial stuff.
Thank you,
so
Amy,
it
for keeping us grounded.
It makes a lot of sense that he would be a part of this. Why are you all like this?
You're definitely bringing the level of prestige up. I appreciate that.
Is this vengeance for the cat puns? Because I can bring them back. When you least expect it, there'll be anytime there's a cat involved, I'm just gonna swoop in. I may not even be here that day. I'll just call in. You have got to be kidding me right now.
Oh, it starts. All right. Okay. So it's called Living in the Age of Airplanes.
All right.
If you're a hardcore aeronautical enthusiast, I actually would recommend checking this out. Mostly because it just adds to the collection. It did have some good information on there, and if you ever want to present the information to anyone, and you have just a wall of documentaries and books and stuff, I've got a few of those myself. I'm not going to be to that level of nerdism, but there's a couple in the collection there. This would be one to just give someone that touches on the basics and looks really pretty. Living in the Age of Airplanes. I do recommend it if you're a hardcore fan. If you're a casual fan, don't bother. Play Flight Sim or something. You'll be all right. Okay, now.
Flight Sim as a casual. Yep.
Hey, man, meet them halfway. All right, so I'm going to pass to my man JM real quick. You have the report on tables, ladders, and chairs.
We need some TLC in our lives.
Not this sort of TLC, but before I go, we'll talk about Ring of Honor real quick. Just highlight the three matches, the three championship matches. I'll start with the tag team titles, which was a great match. The Young Bucks went up against the Briscoe brothers. So it's pretty cool to see these two sets of brothers going at it, especially because of their bad blood from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, the Young Bucks are your stereotypical snot-nosed kids, long hair, sort of glam rock sort of appearance, and your Briscoe brothers have, the rough, rugged, country bumpkin, but they get scrapped real hard sort of gimmick. And it was really good to see them go at it, especially since the Young Bucks definitely outweigh the Briscoe brothers outweigh the Young Bucks by a good 50 pounds each person. And it was just a really good match overall to see how well the Briscoes were able to utilize the ring because the Young Bucks just fly all over the place. And overall, the Young Bucks kept their belts. It was a good deal. I'll jump to the championship match, and then I'll go back to the second match that I'll highlight. So Adam Cole went up against Kyle O'Reilly. Great match. Adam Cole dropped the belt to Kyle O'Reilly. It's great to see Kyle O'Reilly get this push. He's been getting a push for a while. He was TV champion. He was tag team champion before. Of him to get this push to be Ring of Honor champion, I think is great for the company, especially as this happened at the end of the year. And finally, I want to talk about one of my favorite pro wrestlers. Y'all can see the shirt right here.
The Miz, I know. Yeah.
Never.
I love
Jay Lethal, the greatest first generation wrestler, went up against Cody Rhodes. For those of you from WWE days, Cody Rhodes was Stardust, the son of Dusty Rhodes, and he recently left the company. So he came to Ring of Honor. This was his first match in Ring of Honor against the last world champion prior to Adam Cole, Jay Lethal. And it was great to see Cody Rhodes there. They did this nice little event where, he came out and they talked about, how Dusty Rhodes was a great man, blah, 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 because this was his first match in Ring of Honor. And it was like, okay, it's going to be a babyface versus a babyface, so it's going to be a pretty good match. Two good guys going against each other. And Cody Rhodes pulled probably one of the greatest heel turns I've seen in wrestling history. He low blows Jay Lethal, so the whole crowd was like, oh my God, especially because they already brought up, once again, the legacy of of Dusty Rhodes, how Dusty Rhodes is honest man, great wrestler. Here we got